Of course, this continues a long tradition of my family in Gawler Street businesses, because my great-great-grandparents were Roderick and Mary Mackenzie. Roderick was actually on the committee planning the Mount Barker Institute Hall, but they ran a saddlery shop in Gawler Street, focusing on yokes for horses. When did they run that? They started in 1860. Roderick died in 1890. Old Mary continued the business for 13 years, which I think is a pretty good effort. So they sold it to a Strathallan company in 1903. So for 43 years they had a saddlery shop. We just haven't worked out which building it was yet. But I think it's the cafe, it's too small. But so they ran 43 years. I've run for 3 months. You know, I'm nearly there, sort of thing, in terms of longevity. So we love to see you there for breakfast, lunch, coffee, wherever. So we're open 7 days, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the week, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays. We're not open Sundays yet because of the $45 and our penalty rates are killing us, you know, but for staff. But we'll get around that somehow. James, you can help us around that. You got some sort of scheme? But it is a tough business, margins are small, so every bit of help we get would be much appreciated. Perhaps I'll go back a few years, because I also run now event management and fundraising consultancy, and I've been in fundraising and event management most of my working life, mainly working for non-profit organisations. Did economics here at Adelaide Uni, wrote an honours thesis on the desirability of extending the Glenelg tram down King William Street in 1975. I wrote that. 40 years later, woo, it's extended, yay. So it takes a while in Australia sometimes. So I went to, first job was in the Public Service Department of Transport, the Bureau of Transport Economics for a start, and then in the International Air Transport Division of Transport. It sounds all exciting, it wasn't. It was dull as dishwater, you know, we were writing papers about Qantas operations at one stage, and the Minister only had ears for Qantas, you know, so our, you know, economic papers would go up and then they'd just be quietly shelved, you know. The turning point for me was when the guy next to me said, "Brian, it's only 4 more years and we get long service leave." And I thought, oh, you know, so I think I resigned that afternoon, or close to that. And I saw a job in the paper, Executive Director, ACT Division, National Heart Foundation. I thought, God, that sounds more interesting than Department of Transport. I was lucky enough to get it. So that started an 11-year career in the Heart Foundation, managing stuff, but also running special events, which was a form of fundraising that I sort of started with, I guess. All sorts of special events. So I had people cycling and swimming and aerobic dancing and even hot air ballooning. The cycling one was an interesting one. I managed to get the Governor General to go in a couple of our cyclothons, we called them. So Samini and Stephen it was at the time. So the second one he was at Lake Ginninderra in Canberra. I'd been the previous Sunday, done my sort of recce thing, and I'd ridden around the course. Not a soul, you know, 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. No one's up. It was great for the Governor General because, you know, security concerns. You don't want, you know, too many people on the path. So off we go on the next Sunday morning. Governor General wobbling along, and security guard, you know, and then we, you know, one out and one back, you know, and we're going along and suddenly cycle the other way, you know, and you know, there was no one here last Sunday. All these families going past and, you know, we're dodging them and everything. Right, so it turns out St John's had decided to have a cycle event of their own and send their cyclists the other way. At the same time, the same morning, the Governor General was, you know, so at the end of the course, the Governor General sort of wandered over to the St John's tent and said, you know, St John's man is standing there, you know, saying, "Oh, sir, yes. That's a big event, are we? Maybe next year, just, you know, talk to the Heart Foundations." So anyway, they got the message. Hot air balloon event was interesting. So there was annual hot air balloon festival in Canberra. I got to know them quite well, and I said, look, could everyone join together and do something for charity? Yep, so we got 42 hot air balloons involved in this. I signed up 37 federal politicians. So you imagine the hot air jokes around there. Who all raised money. I said a minimum $1,000, so they raised about $50,000 for it. So here we are. It's 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, semi-dark. We've got Bob Hawke, Prime Minister, and Hazel in one balloon. I've got the national media there. I've got Johnny Howard and Jeanette in another. I've got Gareth Evans with his big old hat on in another one. And they all go off, and I got my board members, of course, who didn't want to miss out on this. I had board members, so they were all in other balloons and whatnot, So it all goes off, and I'd organised a pancake parlour, a local pancake place to do the pancakes for the morning, and they said, we'll get there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, oh, very generous, but great, because you'll be totally organised. What time did they get there? 7 o'clock in the morning. So all these balloons are going up. I said, where's the, and then I see the pancake parlour, coming, unloading their food and whatnot. I'm thinking, it's not going to be, they're going to be back soon, come on, get those pancakes cooking, please, So all the balloons go off. I say, oh, at least we've got, half an hour, 3/4 an hour to get these pancakes going, So I'm standing there by myself, got a big mark here, we've got tables and chairs, no one's around, like everybody's gone, everybody's coming across the lawn just towards me. Prime Minister, so because of security concerns, they made sure that he just had a really short ride, up and down. Everyone else went, I got Bob and Hazel coming at me, pancakes, they're still unloading things from their food, and whatnot. So Bob walked up and said, where are all the big shots? He says, I'm a busy man. And I said, oh, Prime Minister, yes, thank you. Take a seat over here, So I entertained Bob and Hazel for a few minutes. Nothing, I didn't have a cup of tea, so anyway, and then the others started coming back, and anyway, we had a great morning in the end with lots of chatter, and he stayed for about an hour and a half, so he wasn't that busy. A good reminder for event planning, one of the other things I did around that time, I started up Westbourne Woods Action Association, which was on a golf course. Royal Canberra Golf Club was on a patch of land in Canberra that was actually planted as an arboretum in 1913 with all sorts of different trees, including some Californian redwoods and all sorts of things. And so I was walking past there one morning, I heard the chainsaws going, because every now and then the Royal Canberra Golf Club would decide to alter their course and they chop down a whole lot of trees, and some of these were quite magnificent trees and whatnot. So we started up a little action group to try and stop the chainsawing, and then that morphed into nature walks once a month on the golf course, and we were very careful to avoid the golfers. But this one morning, made a mistake. It was late this morning. Made a mistake of getting between a very keen golfer and the hole. And we were only just sort of passing really quickly, and I was shepherding along. You could see this elderly lady. She was lying up. She saw us sort of there, tree huggers, and I was sort of trying to shepherd the sheep up. Straight through the middle of the group, Great. Anyway, more event planning. So around this time also I took up marathon running, so I ran about 7 marathons in my 20s or so, early 30s. Most memorable, of course, was the Boston Marathon that I ran in 1980. Boston Marathon in 1980 was the most famous, apart from, unfortunately, the most recent one, when the bombing was. But Rosie Ruiz made the 1980 marathon the most famous of them all. Rosie Ruiz was a weekend jogger, you might call, who lived in New York, entered the New York Marathon, and realised before the halfway mark she was never going to make it in the end. So she caught a train to the finish, So she was running, so she was sort of wandering around at the finish line, and an enthusiastic official saw she had a timing tag on her waist. She said, "Oh, we haven't timed you yet." Bang into the timing thing. What's going on? And it came out in the newspaper, Rosie Ruiz. It wasn't a terrific time, but it was a reasonable time, and her boss read the paper and said, "Rosie, that's great, you finished the marathon. I will pay for you to go to Boston, all expenses paid, everything." And Rosie, so she didn't actually own up. She hadn't actually run the New York Marathon, she took the train. So Rosie's off to Boston, so what am I going to do, So Bill Rogers has won the Boston Marathon for several years in a row. And he wins it again. And then a woman comes around as the leading female. Looks at her. I've seen her in the running circles before. Rosie Ruiz wins the Boston Marathon. And she gets the crown at the top, stands on the podium, there's other people. And then the second woman, who was a well-known international runner who'd been cheered all on the route as the leading female, turns the corner and comes up the hill, and there's Rosie standing there with the crown on her head and whatnot. So Bill Rogers says, what were your splits? Rosie doesn't understand what that means. She's not splitting, but she's holding the trophy. The picture's taken. She's on the front page of the Boston Globe, winner of the Boston Marathon. People just can't believe it, so they start scratching their heads. So there starts to be a little bit of a forensic, examination, and they start looking at the videotape of the earlier in the race, and no Rosie, halfway mark, no Rosie, where is she, and then they see her coming across the finish line. So what happened? So Rosie's plan was to enter the race at some point, not that far from the finish line, and do a half reasonable time. As it turned out, she entered the race 200 metres before the finish. And won the bloody thing. Not in Rosie's plan, I don't think. So it was a week-long investigation, and eventually she was stripped of the medal. But nobody ever said, "I saw her hop under the rope." So she was very clever in that sense, very dumb in the other sense. So if you're going to cheat in life or business, do it a bit better than Rosie. So anyway, back to the Heart Foundation. Then I moved on from the ACT division to managing their food endorsement program, putting ticks on food products. So I travelled around Australia talking to food manufacturers, encouraging them to lower the fat and salt in their products so they get the Heart Foundation tick. Pretty controversial program when it was first introduced, because of course the first few products in the program were the fats and oils that were the better end of the fats and oils, but the dietitians were up in arms, and I was leading people down this path of drinking olive oil for breakfast and whatnot. Not true, but it was a very successful program and raised millions for the Heart Foundation, because we did put 0.5% of turnover on their products to get the tick. That funded the whole program, plus a whole lot of heart research. But I did discover, anyone ever had black and gold or home brand wheat patties?
Yep.
They're made with mechanically recovered meat.
No, that's right. No, we'll leave it at that,
Any idea what that is?
No.
So they get their bones and they scrape all the last little bits of gristle and go and pop the bones and fit the patties. So just during my time, I was with the Heart Foundation, there was a hullabaloo in the environmental scene. It was called damming the Franklin River in Tasmania. So the Tasmanian government had decided that, hey, we've got a whole lot of hydroelectricity, but oh, that's a wild river there, let's get some more hydroelectricity and let's dam it. And it was one of Tasmania's last wild rivers and continues to stay to be so, thankfully. A bunch of us were outraged at this damming the wild river. No worries, Graham, that's what you mentioned before. So I got together a group of about 20 of us, mainly professional people. I was director of the Heart Foundation at the time. We had teachers and nurses and a lot of other people. And so we went down there and joined several hundred people on the banks of the Gordon River, puddling around in slush and mud and rain and whatnot for a couple of weeks, and sort of paddling around in rubber duckies and whatnot and going, ooh, you know, the police, and we were intensely videotaped at the time with police boats coming along and like really good close-ups, you know, of us. I'm sure there's 100 hours of me somewhere or other in a vault in Tasmania. But of course we all had, after 2 weeks, we all had to get back to our jobs. So the last couple of days of that, we thought we've got to do something a bit more spectacular because we need to get arrested so that the police can take us back to where we need to go. What they were doing was trying to find the solid rock to build the dam wall at that point. So they were digging these sort of mine shafts into the hillside to see where they could find solid rock. In fact, it was doubtful whether they ever would. But anyway, so the current work was building this particular shaft into the hillside. So that was the only work that was going on for the dam at that stage. So we thought, okay, we'd better centre a bit of activity there. So at 4 a.m. in the morning, we all get up. Little tip for environmental activists: if you're going to chain yourself to a mine at 4 a.m. in the morning, don't assume that the workers are going to turn up at 7. So they didn't. Standing there with chains all around their neck, 7 o'clock came, 8 o'clock came, 9 o'clock. When was the last time they went to the loo? Yes. 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, the workers finally arrived at 10 o'clock. Had a cup of tea, sat down and had a cup of tea. Great. Aren't you supposed to let us go or something? So the police arrived a couple of hours later, so about midday-ish, you know, we've been standing there since 4 a.m. They weren't happy because it was quite a long slope to get to us. Scrabble up this long slope, and quite a large police officer it was that finally came up to me, and he said, "I'm something rather tired and something rather angry. Give me the hacksaw," to the workers. So I suppose it's sort of 30 seconds the most terrifying moment in my life when someone is grabbing the chain around your neck and going. Anyway, so in the end we got arrested, went to jail by Queenstown courtroom at midnight, and ended up in prison for a few nights. Fortunately, there's 40 or 50 of us playing darts one day, you know, with a guy, and we were in the remand yard. I said, "What's that going for?" "Oh, he shot his wife's head off." "Oh, good. Yeah, we'll go darts." But in the end they let us out without conviction or trial or anything, because it was costing them thousands for a $45 trespass conviction. So I'm not a convicted criminal. I can tell you lots of stories about jail, but I might another time. Perhaps we can have another list in prison, life in prison. Just quickly, they gave you, there was a treat every Thursday. You got 2 blocks of Cadbury's chocolate or a pack of roll your own tobacco. That's the treat every Thursday. So we, of course, all the greens got chocolates and all the creamers got tobacco. So when we were leaving the day after one of these, we actually gave all our chocolates to the creamers. They couldn't believe it. How generous we were. Heart Foundation career over, came back to live in Adelaide. Kids were growing up, got 4 daughters. Grandparents were here, so we came back and settled in Mount Barker. The kids went to the Waldorf School. Through my Heart Foundation experience, I started up Gutbusters. Had the South Australian franchise for Gutbusters, which means weight loss. Tony, you have props. I have a prop. Wait What do you reckon that is?
Fat.
It's quite a nice replica of stomach fat. How much does it weigh, do you reckon?
1.2 kilos.
That's a couple of kilos.
More than that. 4.
4?
3 kilos.
Okay. So 2.5 kilos.
There you go.
2.5 kilos of ugly fat. So I've taken over a 7-year period. I took several thousand men through a men's weight loss program. I think I remain the most experienced men's weight loss counsellor in Australia. And this is what we were trying to get rid of. And I could share lots about that with you, but one of the key things about Gutbusters was the notion of trading off. Do something bad, do something good, and you're even. Sort of thing, you know, like best of life, isn't it? Really? Maybe. What's the bad? So drinking alcohol is one example of things that put on weight. Walking is one of the examples of things that take off weight. Right? So the equivalent is one standard drink, 1 kilometre of walking. That evens you out. Doesn't lose weight, but it evens you out. So think about it. 1 day of walking, 1 drink. So one of the nights, it was a 6-week course, 1.5 hours each Tuesday night or whatever, and we just talked around like this, you know. So one of the, you know, we got this trade-off thing one week, and one guy said, but Brian, what if you like port? And I said, oh no, it's okay, John. No, you know, it's just the same thing. One drink of port, 1 kilometre, you know. He said, what if you really like it? And I didn't like to sort of get guys to fess up as to what they did and whatnot. You know, we all kept it, you know, fairly confidential and whatnot. I said, well, it's the same, you know. He said, I really like port. And so he was prompting me to ask him how much he drank. So in the end I said, John, how much port are you drinking? Bottle a night. Oh. Did he have some walking to do? And we had some guys drinking a slab a night, you know, so we didn't tend to get huge guys in Gutbusters. We tend to get the guys that were on the market again. They had marriage breakdown, and so they were trying to look smart for the ladies. Or the doctor had said, if you don't do something, mate, you're dead next week, you know. So I had some guys who were really frightened, and others that were trying to look, you know, a bit smarter. It was a very, very successful program. Probably a bit before its time. I think the publicity around obesity and the problems that overweight causes is probably even heightened these days. I think Australia's just about the fattest country in the world, and so happy to share some of that with you at some point. I'm just about out of time. Yes, how are we going? A couple of minutes. I've had a little bit of a foray into politics. Ran for council a few times here, ran for mayor, so I've probably been on the Stobie pole in your street at some stage. Just missed out to Anne a couple of elections ago. 200 votes, I think, would have done it. Didn't get the preferences of the third candidate. It didn't go anywhere. So, but anyway, there we go. Ran for the Democrats a few times. Was a national fundraiser for the Democrats for a few years, and I ran the corporate partnership program. Democrats were an interesting party because every year I'd stand up in January, we've got the business community there. I'd say, and I'd like to introduce the leader of the Australian Democrats. And I'd look across and I'd have to, and this week it is, this year it's Meg Lees, and next year it was Natasha, and then it was Brian Grigg for a very short time, and there was Lynn Allison, and so I think I had 5 leaders in 5 years or something or other, so it was topsy-turvy, and that's why they're probably no longer a party. So fast forward to now, what I do now, so I work at the Adelaide Showground most of my time. I organise 2 big events a year, the Science Alive event, which attracted 26,000 people last year. This will be the 12th year that I've done that this year, that's in August. And for the first year this year, I'm doing the World Environment Fair in June. Just signed up Ross Garno to talk about climate change, and we've got a huge nature play area in the middle that'll be fantastic with climbing structures and tunnels and things and whatnot for the kids. So we'll try and got a bike hub and all sorts of things happening. The World Environment